We continue with the next editing tool from Chapter 5, which is rotating elements. We go to the Modify, and then over here to our Modify tools, and we have the Rotate. The Rotate tool, the way it works is, again, you have to select the object first. So for example, I have a desk right here. See right here, it's a desk component family. Alright, so I have a desk here, but I want to rotate it so that it's going in this direction. So I select my object, I click on the Rotate tool, and then I get, by default, the center of rotation is always in the center of the object that you selected. So for example, the first thing I want to do is click my first point. So I'm just going to drag this to be completely horizontal. So that'll be my first point. And then I just drag my mouse. And notice that my temporary dimension is telling me the degree in the angle that I'm going. So if I wanted to go exactly 90 degrees, I just move my cursor until it goes to 90 degrees and then click. And it rotates my desk. If I look at it in 3D, that's what we're looking at right there. So I have this desk component and I'm rotating it. So let's look at that again. Go back to the first floor level. Select my component, rotate, and let's say I click here, but this time I want to rotate at a 45 degree. So I'm just going to snap to right there. So, and then I can just drag and move my desk to wherever I want, and I was able to rotate that component. It works with anything. It works with, for example, if I select the entire floor plan, and if I hit the rotate command, notice that I have my center of rotation set. I click on one point, I click on the second point, and it rotates everything that I want. Now, select my point, go back to rotate. I was telling you that by default, the center of rotation is right here. By default, it's always the center of the object that you're rotating. But what if I don't want to rotate on the center? What if I want to have my rotation axis right there on the corner? What you need to do is right here under the options toolbar here, you're going to click on place. So the center of rotation, I'm going to tell it I'm going to place that center of rotation right here. Okay, so now I can rotate from, I'm going to click my first point, 1, and then rotate 2. So you can rotate using a different center of rotation. Okay, let's look at the next tool, which is array. We're going to do an array of these windows. I got a single window here, and the array tool is right here. When you click on that one, you have two different kinds of arrays. We have linear and we have radial. We're going to look at linear first. Okay, after I selected my window and I clicked on linear, I get this blue highlight telling me that that's the object that I'm going to array. The next thing to do is to tell it how many times do you want to repeat this array. I'm going to tell it right here. I'm going to say 4. I want to repeat that. I want to have 4 objects being arrayed. And then we're going to start with the second point. So what that means is I need to pick 2 points. The first point is the origin point. I'm going to start, for example, here. And then the second window is going to end right there. So let's say, look at my temporary dimension. It's at 7 feet. So if I click there, it's going to copy 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me get rid of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. At that distance that I gave it, the second point. So from the origin to the second point, it maintains that distance, equal distance to each other. After that array is set, if you click on any one of these, notice that I get this temporary marker that's telling me I have 4 in my array. So if I tell it, change that to 3, it gives me 3 and it got rid of the other one. If I wanted, 2. So I got 2 in my array now, and you can always change it. I want more, I want 4. So once it's an array, you can quickly edit it in that way. You can also click on the last one and then move it, and then these four rearrange, keeping equal spacing. And I get a error message because I got a wall right next to a window, and right on top of a window, and you can't have that. So let me change that. There. So all these are grouped in an array, and when you move one window, all the others readjust equally based on that constraint. Let's see. You can array anything. It can be a wall. It can be windows, doors. For example, this. If for whatever reason I wanted to do an array of that wall, click on array, and it's linear. And I'm going to tell it, let's do 6 of these walls, and I'm going to tell it, I'm going to move to the second point. So I'm going to click on my first point, and then my second point, my temporary dimension says it's 5 feet. So if I click, every 5 feet is going to do that wall, arrayed 5 times, or 6 times. Again, that temporary number, if I click on it, let's say I wanted just 4 of these walls, I can just overwrite that number and it gives it to me. So it's pretty cool. Array. Okay, so now we're going to do the array using the radial. Let's go to the modify and then array. Okay, so what I have here is a table. Let's look at it in 3D. Okay, so I've got a table and a chair. And what I want to do is I want to do an array of chairs around that table. So I'm going to select the object that I want to array. And I'm going to select the array tool and then make sure that it's on radial. And I'm going to tell it I want 5 of these chairs. And then notice that the angle of rotation is always default on the center of the object. So I'm going to change it. The center of rotation does not have to be on the object that you're rotating. For example, I'm going to place the center of rotation at that center of that table. And then I want 5 of these chairs, and then I want to do the array in 360 degrees around that center of rotation. So I hit enter. And now I have my chair, 5 of these chairs around the table. So if we look at it in 3D, that's what we get. Okay. And then same thing as the other one. If I click on one of these, it's telling me I have 5 of these chairs. Let's say I wanted 6 of them. It rearranges it and you create 6. Or one more time, you just click, say no, let's say I just want 4, and it does it for you. Right? One more time, let's try that again. So I select my object, I go to array, select the number that I want, place my center of rotation. I'm hitting the midpoint of this table. And you can also, instead of just saying 360 degrees, you can specify a second point. For example, I pick my first point and then my second point, and it does 5 chairs, equal distance to that distance between first point and second point. So I clicked here first, and then I clicked here second, so that distance is repeated, so I can have 5 of these elements. So that's another way to do it. But if you want to do a complete circle all the way around, you select your chair, array, place your center of rotation around that midpoint of that table, select the number, let's say I want 6, and then just type here 360 degrees, hit enter, and you're set. There you go. Array using the radial. Next tool is matching elements. Okay, so the way that works is under the Modify tab, there's this one, Match Type Properties. So for example, right here I have an exterior wall that's got brick and then thick metal stud. And then over here I have a thin wall. So let's say I wanted to match this wall to that one. So I'm going to click on the match type property, and then I'm going to follow the instructions down here. It says select an object to copy its type. So you need to click on the source that you want to match. So I want to match this wall, and this is the wall I want to modify. So I click on it. Oh, it didn't do it. Let's try that again. Match. 1, 2. Nope. Let's try one more time. So if I click on this, match type, well, that worked. Try it again. Match type, click this one, and then I click on that one. There we go. I continue clicking, and it worked. So let's try it again. I'm going to move these back. Match property. I want to match this property, and I want to change this wall. I want to change that wall and this wall. Match properties. You can do the same thing with the doors. For example, this door is a 36 by 84. Let me change this to a smaller one, 30 inch. So it's a smaller size. See if this works. Join or match property. Select your source and then change that one to a smaller size. So it works the same way. It also works with windows and other components. Next one is align and constraints. Okay. Align and constraints. Let me draw another wall over here. There's a tool called Aligned, which is this one here. And it aligns one or more elements to a selected element. For example, if I wanted to align this wall to this wall, here's how you would do it. Let me zoom in. You click on the Align tool. And then you click to the element that you want to align to. So in this case, I want to align to the edge of this wall. So I'm going to click one point, and notice that I get this temporary aligned or line telling me that's the point you're going to align to. So then I click on this other wall, and when I hover over that, it kind of highlights in blue. I don't know if you can see it on the video. But if I click here, it aligns it to this point. So now I have my wall aligned. Let's look at it again. So align, click my point, click my other point, and it moves that wall. Now notice that once that wall is aligned, I get this little icon with a lock, and it's in the open position. What that means is that when it's in the open position, it's not locked to that alignment point. So I can, move this wall back and forth wherever I want. If I align it back again from here, this one there, and if I lock it, what that means is these two now are locked together. So if I move one wall, the other one is going to go with it. They're locked. If I grab this wall and move it over here, the other one goes with it. So I got a locked element. Let's see. It also works with windows. So let's say I wanted to align the edge of this window with the edge of that wall. So I would select my first point, the element that I want to align to, and then select the edge of that window, and it moves that window to be aligned with that one. And again, I get the icon to either lock it or leave it alone, so I'm going to lock it. So every time I move this wall, that window is going to go with it. Okay, so that's align. Delete elements. If you wanted to erase something, all you have to do is click on it, and on the keyboard hit delete. That's as simple as that. Click and delete. Click and delete. What's next? Splitting elements. Okay, over here in the top, there's two kinds of splitting. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to tell you, don't use split with gap. And we'll leave it as that. The most commonly used tool will be this one, split element, that one right here. Okay, so how does that work? Okay, I have this wall. It's one element, one continuous element. So if I select this wall and then I click the split element, click. Notice my mouse pointer changed, so I can split this wall wherever I click. So let's say I wanted to split that wall right here. It put a little blue line in there, so that means that now I have two separate elements. I got 1 and 2. So I can click on this one and just delete it if I don't want it. Or let me show you another example. Let's say I had this wall going all the way across, and I wanted to keep this wall and this wall, but I want to get rid of this segment right here. How would I do that? Well, I would split this. Right now it's a single element. I would split this element into two, somewhere, it doesn't matter where, just click. So now I have two separate elements, and then I would use my trim extend element command. So I'm going to trim to this point and keep this side, trim to this point and keep that side. So that's how you would use the split element. One more time, split, and let's say I want just to do this. Click, click, 1, 2, and you can do it that way.